perhaps almost inevitable that I would become interested in photography. It all started, I think, when my grandmother, my muka as she's called, my Dutch grandmother on my father's side, she was a very short lady, and she had this thing she did where when any of her grandchildren would grow taller than her, she would give them a camera. And this is how I got my first, manual proper camera. It was a Konica rangefinder, 35mm film camera, and I love that thing, and it's where I learned all the basics, your aperture, your shutter, and all those beginnings of photography. On the other side of my family, I had an uncle who was a well-known professional landscape photographer in Holland, and a publisher of a well-known magazine called Photo. So with all that background, all that family background in photography, I think it was almost inevitable that I would end up being a photographer myself at some point. I didn't start that way. I started off by studying computer science and spent a few years working in that area, but after returning from living in Europe, I decided that the time was right for me to study photography. I enrolled in a photographic degree, and at the same time I started image science. Image science was started specifically to provide high quality film scanning services at affordable prices, which simply wasn't available in Australia at the time. Very quickly, of course, I developed an interest in fine art printing and started adding those services to the business. It's a family business, image science, so before too long my wife came on board, and since about 2006 we've been running the business together. We are deliberately split into two sides as a business, and each informs the other. The first side is that we run a full-time fine art production laboratory. This is a full range of services including fine art printing, film scanning, artwork reproduction, colour management services, and so on. We've been doing those since about, all of those services since about 2005, 2006. We were almost certainly the first business in Australia to have our ICC profiles available for download straight off our website. And we have applied colour management to the business literally from day one. Right back in 2001 when I first bought a printer profiling tool, colour management has been absolutely the essence of this business. To achieve really fine art prints, you need to be able to see the images that you're working on with tremendous accuracy. Right now, if you're looking for colour accurate monitors in Australia, it's ASO or BenQ. We started with BenQ as the earliest supplier of BenQ colour accurate monitors in Australia as far back as 2013. We have a truly excellent relationship with BenQ, which is really important to us because it means that we can be absolutely sure that our customers, most of whom are working professionals, will be properly supported both by us, with our knowledge and so on, but in the event that the worst happens and there's a hardware fault, we know that BenQ will stand behind the product. Another big part of this business has been education and knowledge sharing. I love what I do and I like to share that with people, and in particular I like to help them achieve the things that they want to achieve with their visual arts. So for me, we have this website with hundreds of articles on it, all of which are free. There's an entire book on digital imaging fundamentals on there. We provide unlimited support for any product that we sell. I have taught at most of unis and at endless camera clubs in Melbourne and so forth, sharing the message and teaching people and explaining to people how to use the tools of digital imaging to a high level. That is absolutely at the core of what we do, and it's our key point of difference as I see it. We are the only business I know of in Australia that simultaneously runs a full-time fine art production lab and also does the retail component. And it's the day-to-day use of the equipment in that laboratory that informs our sales and support area. We're not a hard sales, box moving type of place. We never do the, here's $50 off if you buy it today type stuff. We are only interested in solving your problems. If you have any problem in the digital imaging domain, whether you're a videographer, a photographer, or an artist, doesn't matter to us. Come to us, have a chat with us. We'll talk about what you want to achieve and what the best equipment is and the best method is to achieve the results that you want. That to me is what makes us a bit different. We have a huge pool of knowledge to draw on, and we are very happy to share that with you. And what we really want to do is come at it from your workflow angle. I want to achieve this, how do I best do that? And how do I do it without trouble? And so on. And should you run into trouble, we're always here to support you. We are very happy to answer support calls and solve the problems you have. And because we've been using these images for more than 15, almost 20 years in fact, in a fine art production laboratory on a daily basis, to the tune of thousands and thousands and thousands of prints. We've hit every problem you're ever likely to hit, probably many times over, and we know the answers, and if we don't know the answers, we take great pains to develop excellent relationships with the suppliers or even the engineers of the products in question so that we have resources to draw on so that you will always be supported. That's image science.